You're listening to the Barbell Voodoo Podcast with your host, Jacob Facehagen. This podcast is brought to you by Paleo Works, locally owned meal prep kitchen with a passion for paleo. They want to make it easy for you to reach your nutritional goals and to stay on track. They offer heat and eat paleo meals, athlete recovery meals, and bulk macro items. Their meals feature 100% grass-fed beef and all-natural hormone and free-range chicken and pork. Pickup locations all over Middle Tennessee, as well as some delivery options for a small fee. Paleo Works wants to make the nutrition the easiest part of your day. This podcast is also brought to you by NutriShop Franklin. Swing by NutriShop Franklin for free in-body scans, free samples, and unrivaled customer service. And when you do, tell them you heard about it from Jacob on the Barbell Voodoo Podcast. But hey, no worries. If you don't live in Franklin, you can check them out in Murfreesboro or Knoxville. Today's podcast is also brought to you by the Hot Room Yoga Studio, located in Cool Springs on Seabourn Lane. So you're strong, but how well do you move? Yoga at the Hot Room will help you recover quicker from those tough workouts and increase your range of motion so you can do better in the gym, bringing you pain relief and stress relief. You don't have to be gummy to get started. The knowledgeable instructors provide clear and concise instruction for beginners and are committed to helping you get the most out of each yoga class. Visit the website, thehotroomtn.com, and claim your 3 classes for $20 intro special. Don't let aches and pains slow you down. Get started today. Today's podcast is brought to you by Float Alchemy. Float Alchemy has modern, natural, and effective tools for fast recovery, more flexibility, and focus. We offer flotation therapy, cryotherapy, Normatec recovery, infrared saunas, and more in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. For Barbell Voodoo listeners, we are offering a one-time special price on our CrossFit Recovery Pack. Normally, that's $162. You get one 60-minute float, one whole-body cryo session, a 40-minute sweat in our infrared sauna, and 30 minutes of Normatec leg recovery system for only $100. Go to floatalchemy.com/barbellvoodoo to purchase your CrossFit Recovery Pack and use the code Voodoo at checkout to get $62 off the regular price. They also have Kombucha Tap Room. Try their painkiller. The kombucha is packed with anti-inflammatories, including fermented ginger, turmeric, and willow bark, as well as hemp CBD. It is the perfect recovery drink to hydrate and heal from the inside. As always, thanks again for tuning into this podcast. Please make sure you subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, leave us a comment, let us know you're out there and digging what we're doing. We are so thankful that you are listening and a part of what's going on here. As always, check out Barbell Voodoo, private label. We'd love to be a part of anything you have going on. In the meantime, enjoy the podcast.
Hey, this is Rich Froning. You're listening to Barbell Voodoo Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Barbell Voodoo Podcast. This is episode number 54. And I am joined now. This is great. Okay, so we had this really weird lull of programming where I didn't have things recorded, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna finally, after almost a year, miss one of my deadlines." And I was like, "This is the worst possible thing ever. I should just quit, and I should just never do another one because this is so bad." And all of a sudden, get a text message from the illustrious Trey Fitch down at H-Dub that said, there is this couple here who are living out of their van who are going across America doing CrossFit. And I was like, that seems like something I want to hear about. And so I went to Instagram. I went to @CrossFitAcrossAmerica and found you two.
Yeah. Tyler here.
Tyler.
Kaley.
Kaley. I called you Kaley during the workout today.
So many different things.
Because I swore that I called you Kaley earlier and got it corrected. I'm not good at that.
As long as there's a K sound in the beginning, I'll say what.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. Or Haley. Or really doesn't.
Haley's common.
Yeah.
Haley,
Katie, Kayla, Caitlin, Kelsey.
Kaley. Oh, I can remember that.
Yeah.
Kelly.
Oh, you should have told me that an hour ago.
But it's Kaley.
It is,
It's Kaley,
Yeah.
like Haley.
Yes,
There you
but
go.
with a K.
I got it now.
Yep.
So these crazy cats are traveling around doing the CrossFit, and they happen to be here in Nashville for a few days. Originally from New York, right?
That's right. I'm originally from Rochester, New York, and Kaylee's from Augusta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, home base, I guess you could call it, is Rochester, New York. That's where we started our journey from.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last 4 months, we've been traveling in our van, Walt the Wandering Van.
The Wandering Van.
And we've been dropping into CrossFit boxes everywhere we go. On our way out west, we stopped at the games in Madison.
That's so
Had
cool.
a great experience there.
Amazing.
Met a ton of cool people, some of whom we've actually met up with since. And dropped into their boxes or wherever they're working out. And
Oh, that's cool. So, like, people you met on the road, you've now gone, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's been unbelievable.
Yeah, we've met so many cool people, and it's been a great trip so far. And, you know, the goal is to be on the road for a year. And that was kind of loosely set by the fact that we're renting our house. And our renters,
as long as you have renters.
Yeah, they're there for a year. You know, we promised them, you know, regardless of how we feel about van life, like if we got out there and hated it, we're like, don't worry, we're not going to make you move out right away. You're locked in for a year and we'll figure it out. So,
cool.
So far, so good. We're loving it. We're having a good time. We're exploring the country, and we've met tons of cool people. And, you know, there's no signs of going back to Rochester early.
Great.
Put it that way.
So how did you two meet? Like, are you brother and sister, grew up in the same house?
Not at all.
Just a strange family that one went south, one stayed north.
We're married.
Yeah.
Been married for, 4.5?
Yeah, 4.5 years.
4.5 years. We actually met in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So after college, we both moved there for like an internship. And so we were working together, fell in love.
Aww.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago is kind of like a neutral territory for us, I guess. You know, she's from the South, I'm from the North, and we met in the Midwest. So we just kind of, I don't know, it was meant to be. And since then, we lived in Atlanta for a little bit.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, right now our home
worst.
base.
So much traffic.
I don't know how people live in Atlanta.
Traffic alone, like it was just brutal. You know, commuting 5 miles took over an hour. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, especially because in Rochester, a traffic jam, I mean, what was supposed to be a 15-minute commute maybe turns into 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Big
worst.
time. Gosh.
So,
That's great. So 4.5 years, you guys been together. You guys, I think earlier we were talking, you said you traveled some around like the world and whatnot, and you kind of caught that bug of traveling together, that you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, so when we were in Chicago, we were working for a company called Red Frog Events. And so we would actually travel the U.S. and we would go to different locations set up for a race. So they would do Warrior Dash, which is like the 5K mud obstacle races.
Oh, okay.
So we travel the country.
So this is where you both had the internship there with this company?
So
okay.
when we first met. And so we'd set up the race, we'd execute it and then break it down and head back. So we got to travel a lot, travel together while we were there. And then after we left Chicago, we actually in 2013 hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Wow.
So that was, travel bug definitely hit us there. So we
and that's no joke. I mean, that's a long commitment.
It was
2,185 miles of commitment.
By foot.
Yeah, it took us 4 months and 3 weeks, or 121 days, and it was amazing. I mean, definitely ups and downs,
literally,
pun intended. But tell you what, it gave us an appreciation for like the amenities you have at home. Like a nice hot shower, running water, not being outside in the rain.
That's
now.
Did you guys end up in like snow and stuff along the way as well? Like I've had so many people that I know, maybe just from living here so close to it, that have done it.
Yeah.
And they just have crazy stories about things along the trail.
We got lucky. We didn't hit the snow, but in the lean-tos, like the little shacks along the way, there's books. And so I think at one point we were reading someone's notes. Do you remember that? And they were talking about snow like a week before. So we just missed it or something like that. Yeah. So we got really lucky. We didn't have snow, but it rained like every day for the first 30 days or something.
Did you stop at one of the places? One of the places is supposed to be super haunted along the way.
Oh, like, one of the crazy lean-tos?
I guess, yeah. It's like one of the optional places to stop, like where there's voices and things being thrown and like all kinds of stuff.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of.
We did. All right, so I don't know if it's the same thing. Okay. I didn't hear any voices, or I don't think I heard anything being thrown around. But after you hike 20 miles in a day, you sleep pretty good.
Sure.
So the one spot that I remember that might be similar to the same one is a lean-to along the way where I believe there was a murder way back when.
Yeah, like someone escaped from prison,
which
or
would
something?
Explain like some haunted stuff going on around there, but I don't know if it was the same exact spot along the way.
I think we were on high alert that night, but I don't think we heard anything.
Okay.
So we made it out alive.
Yeah.
We're doing good.
We're here.
Yeah. I've heard that story, and then I've also saw it documented somewhere
Really?
like a TV did something about this place along the way and how crazy it was. But anyways,
nuts.
that was random.
Yeah.
So you guys, I guess, like each other a little bit to spend that much time together.
I'd say so.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's commitment. After like 17 years of marriage, almost in December.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I am not sure that I want to go on a 4.5 month hike with my wife or our kids, but I think that's great for you guys. That's incredible to me. I'm like, man, that's a long time together.
We definitely learned a lot about each other and like what we want out of life, and like there was a ton of time to talk about anything and everything. So it was really cool.
That was pre-engagement too.
Yeah.
So we always joked that it was kind of like a time to really test whether or not we wanted to.
This is make or break right here.
Make that next leap into an engagement or
that was
eventually
happen
marriage.
Anyways, but
Oh yeah. Well, he just had to catch up to that.
Yeah.
No, it was a lot of fun. It was cool because him being from New York and me from Georgia, after Chicago, we both moved back home. Then we went to Atlanta and moved back home because we didn't live together.
So we spent
how
a lot did you
of time
end up
apart.
in Atlanta together?
I guess, was it after Chicago we moved home? And then you got a job in Atlanta.
Right.
And then I found a job and moved to there.
Oh, okay.
So we were there for a little while. And then we did the trail.
Yep.
Moved back home and got married.
Wow.
There's a lot going on
awesome.
there.
Yeah.
We've explored the East Coast quite a bit, like whether we're walking or living in Atlanta or Rochester or driving back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
A little bit of Midwest sprinkled in there with our internship in Chicago. But that's kind of what spurred our current trip a little bit. It's because there's so much of the U.S. that we hadn't seen or explored.
Yeah.
Mainly out west or even here in Nashville. Like we were so close when we were hiking the trail, going through like the Smoky Mountains and like that border between North Carolina and Tennessee. Yeah. But we never made our way over here. Okay. So it's so cool to be able to explore these cities and see friends and family that are, spread out across the country now. Or even like, with social media these days, you see all these cool videos of like people exploring like, the slot canyons out west in Arizona or, the Grand Canyon. We're like, well, we want to see that for ourselves.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
want to go check it out, not just look at it on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
So we're doing it. Yeah.
Yep.
We're out here, on our feet, checking it out in person.
So you guys do the trail, you end up getting hitched, and then you're like, so what's next? Or like what happens?
So what happened?
Well, shortly after that, we found a house and we moved into a house and we're just kind of following like those societal norms of what.
And where were you
next.
at this point?
In Rochester.
In Rochester.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure I'm tracking here.
So Rochester has been home base for the last 4 years since we got
Take a left at Albuquerque.
Married. I know, right?
So Bugs Bunny always tried to.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned Bugs Bunny because when we were going through Utah and just like some of those tabletops or like the Red Rocks that we were like seeing along the way, just straight out of Looney Tunes.
Was it?
Yeah, like I was half expecting a Wile E. Coyote to like peek his head around the corner.
Some Acme warehouse along the way that you see that sells everything you need.
Looking for like an anvil on the side of it that we could take a picture next to. That's right. But
it was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. We've so many of the national parks and different places that we've seen. It's just been incredible.
Yeah.
Things that we'd never have a chance to. So it's been really cool.
I definitely have not seen hardly anything west of here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of sad. I mean, I've hopped over a few places. Like I've been to Colorado, I've been to Denver a little bit and did some things there in Estes Park and stuff. Really cool. I just knew somebody was there. And so, and I had a work thing. But, so, okay, you're in Rochester and you... Like, at what point do you go, hey, let's plan our next trip? Or like, how in the world, I've got a crazy idea. Let's travel for 1 year in an, I don't know, early 90s van.
Yeah. I mean, 80s even.
Is it? I don't even know. I just guessed.
1985. You're close.
85.
It's old and it chugs along and it's kind of got some character. But I guess what led us to that point was, you know, we had bought the house and we were working these jobs. And they were good jobs, but we weren't really... you know, living our passion, and we were trying to, I don't know, have a nice like adventure. Like we wanted to get out and explore the country, and like you mentioned earlier, we were fortunate enough to go overseas and check out some countries on the other side of the pond. And we're like, there's so many cool things right here in the U.S. that we haven't seen, and like friends and family that we only see once every couple of years. Like this would be an incredible way to like work all that into one. And the van, you know, our goal at the beginning was not to live in a van, you know, like it wasn't like, hey, let's live in the van and just be like, you know, the van down by the river.
So you didn't come home one day and we're just like, I got a great idea.
Actually, no, that kind of just happened.
It didn't?
But
truth comes out.
It's more of a means. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Like the van is a means to traveling and seeing the country, visiting friends and family, dropping into CrossFit boxes, and exploring on a budget and in a cost-efficient way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's kind of how it came about. So we were, you know, working our jobs. We were kind of craving another adventure, and I was at work one day and I fell down the YouTube wormhole of van life and found this which might seem strange.
A thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. Huge. There's a huge community out there.
My friend and I have been researching these vans. Not like your van. Like I like yours now. This seems palatable, and I haven't seen the inside of it, so it may be just, you know, a train wreck. I don't know.
The Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour. But there's these like they take the Sprinters, like the Dodge Sprinters or the Mercedes Sprinters, and convert them, and like there's places on top you can sleep, and but that's like $100,000 commitment.
Yeah,
and we were like, dang, that's expensive, but like, you know, that's granite, countertops in this side of that, and like, you know, they're pretty nice, but like that's super expensive. And when you guys were talking about your van, I was like, well, now I'm just going to have to figure this out. And so, like, there's YouTubes about this. Like, this is like a whole thing that I could explore and get stuck in.
It's easy. A lot of great videos it's easy to fall down that wormhole, I like to call it, of YouTube videos. And there's anything from people who are currently doing it and, like, maybe the way that their van is built out now that it's finished, or starting from scratch and converting a van. And the conversion is just like if you were to watch, you know, a show on HGTV or something, you get to see the before and after. Yeah. And you just kind of keep watching all these really unique things that people are doing to get efficient use out of their space that they have in the van. And it's a tight space.
So did you do all of the work yourself?
No. So there's some things that we added after the fact, but we bought this van from a couple that was using it for a similar purpose. So things like a bed platform was already there, or you know, we did things like replace the flooring just to make it look a little bit updated, or we actually put a laminate flooring in with no gaps or seams. That way, when our dog comes in, Cooper, if he's wet, you know, it's not going to soak down into the floorboards and mold and get nasty or whatever. Things like that. So small updates. We built a nice cabinet that houses our solar battery. We added a solar panel to the top of it. Yeah, curtains.
Made an ottoman that has cup holders.
Yeah, just additional storage, really, so that we could fit everything that we wanted to have with us along the way and make it work.
How many people conceivably do people travel with in a van? Like, is there more than just 2, or are they generally like 2's a pretty good?
Yeah. I mean, on Instagram and YouTube, there's some people who do buses and they have like the whole family too. So I guess it depends on your space. I wouldn't put more than 2. Well, with Cooper, 3 in our van. It's tight. But if you had a bus, I guess you could.
Wow. The buses or the schoolies, they call them, are pretty cool. Yeah. But it's also hard to stealth park a school bus.
Yeah. Sure. So like,
if we're in a pinch and we're not staying somewhere where we have friends or family, we could roll up and, park on a street where there's street parking and crash for the night and get up early in the morning and leave. But probably a little harder to do that in a school bus.
Well, and the way that their frames are built, they're actually super fragile. Like, that's why school buses get retired so quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're super rigid. Yeah. And so they break actually really easily. Huh. Wow. Yeah, it's weird. Anyways, I don't know why I know that. Just
learned something new today.
Yeah, sure did.
Hashtag part of my life. I don't know. But anyways, but they're built super rigid, and so they get cracks in them, and the schools have to get rid of them.
Huh.
Well, that's probably the majority of the schoolies that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably not carrying as much weight, as like a full school bus of kids, and so there's probably less to worry about. You could probably weld that and get going, but the schools couldn't use it anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways. Wow. So that's crazy. So you bought one that's already been started, and then you kind of finished what you wanted. Yep. Are you still working on it? Is still projects in there?
There's things that we need to make adjustments to, or we have made adjustments along the way. Like we had a mini fridge in there, and it just wasn't getting enough power. So like in the middle of the night, it would shut off. So we'd lose our fridge. So we went to just a basic cooler, and so now the solar panel really just kind of powers our fan for like us or Cooper if it's hot at night and stuff like that. Yeah. So we have made stuff like that, but we haven't done anything major, I would say.
Well, lately too, we've been using it a lot for like our hot plate for cooking and whatnot. Yeah. We also have an electric kettle so we can heat up water, and we'll do oatmeal sometimes for breakfast or make some coffee, and that's nice too. But as winter is approaching, we're noticing more and more overcast days where we're not getting as much sun as we did in the summer months or in springtime. So the battery's not always on, full charge. And then that kind of dictates what we're going to have for breakfast that day. Like, can we do oatmeal, or do we have to do something that doesn't require, the hot water or the energy usage? But yeah, I mean, other things that we've talked about changing along the way, we want to potentially add a fan in the ceiling. We were really
like an exhaust fan kind of.
Yeah, and there's really cool ones out there that we've seen installed. It's just kind of nerve-wracking to cut a hole in the roof.
Yeah, a little bit.
So we were procrastinating on it, and to the point where like eventually we just left and started our journey without doing it because we really didn't want to cut a hole in the roof.
Yeah.
And we've kind of tried to avoid that at all costs. Like, for instance, our solar panel is mounted on the roof with a Turnabond, which is like an RV repair tape. So we didn't have to screw it in or like create any sort of holes where water could potentially leak into the van, because it's just like something that I'm very nervous about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to wake up with a leak in the top of the van.
Yeah. When starting out, we really didn't know what to expect. We spent 2 nights in the van before we left. We were totally new to it, so it's kind of like, let's not cut a hole in the van. Let's just see if everything else works, and then if it does, then maybe we could do it down the road. So I guess we're at that point now. Yeah. So we might try to do that.
I think it would be an upgrade for sure. I think it would help out.
It would be an upgrade.
Yeah.
Because it gets hot. 1 week it was 110?
Yeah.
And it was just, we didn't have AC. And
wow.
Yeah, the AC went out, 2.5 months ago?
Yeah, we were traveling through North Dakota during a heat wave, and I had no idea that North Dakota could get that hot. Yeah. It was like 110 degrees, and just like the windows were down. We were going 60, but it was just hot air blowing out.
It's like we just finished a WOD, but we hadn't worked out yet that day.
Yeah.
It felt like it though.
And then, so like we can talk to each other and say like, hey, I need to pull over. I need some water. But for our dog Cooper, we're just terrified. He was constantly panting. We're like, we need to get to like a hotel and get some air conditioning. Otherwise, like, who knows what's going to happen. Like Cooper needs some AC. And then as a byproduct, we also got some air conditioning.
It was nice.
Yeah,
We
so it was
slept well
good.
that night.
It was good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in a wormhole of van conversions.
Yeah, and
You were like, this is cool. Maybe we could do this.
I got really into it. Yeah, and I like continued watching videos. And then when we got home that night, I asked Kaley, I was like, would you ever consider living in a van, like straight up? And she was like, yeah. And then we started watching.
Here we are.
So we started watching the YouTube videos together. And before you know it, like, we were on Craigslist searching for a van, and it all kind of happened really fast, I guess. And then a week or two later, we found Walt, and the rest is history. Yeah, like we bought it.
Now, is Walt the van or the person who owned the van?
Both.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're both Walt.
Yeah. So the previous owner is Walter, and him and his wife traveled. They used it for, road trips, and that was its main purpose. Otherwise, it was garage kept.
Yeah.
And, they were happy to see it go to a couple that was going to use it for a similar purpose. It's not becoming like a work van or a construction van. And so, like, in his honor, I guess we named the van Walt.
That's
and
cool.
we think it's pretty fitting.
Yeah.
It looks like Walt to me,
So before you leave, I assume you take it to the mechanic and say, fix whatever needs to be fixed. We're going to be gone for a year.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was incredible.
Except the AC. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Just pass by that. Not
The
important.
AC was working when we left.
Yeah, it worked for like a month and a half when you say
It was leaking, but it was working.
It seems like each month we've had a van issue, and that was one of the months. We had the radiator blew or went out. I don't know car stuff, so that happened. AC went out. New
we had to
tires.
replace tires. The brake master cylinder. That was pretty important, especially approaching the mountains out west. And then recently, there's been this awful screeching noise that it makes when we start it up. And it's kind of
like a
embarrassing.
belt. Yeah,
and I think that's all it is. We're actually going to take it to the shop this weekend. But as soon as you turn it on, it's just like it starts to like screech a little bit. And then as you start to drive, it gets increasingly louder and louder. And then eventually you hit a certain speed or like level of RPMs, and it just goes back to normal. So I usually try to like punch it as soon as we start driving, just get that screech out of the way. But it's not always an option, and there's people like dogs and cats are like freaking out. Cooper doesn't like it, but we're gonna get it taken care of. Yeah, it's funny though, because when we first got it, like you mentioned, taking it to the mechanic and seeing like what kind of shape this van was in, it's an immaculate shape. Like the previous owners took incredible care of it. They were the original owners. Like I said, it was garage kept. And when we bought it as a 1985 Ford, it only had 58,000 original miles on it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was literally only used for road trips.
Yeah.
Perfect
Otherwise,
condition.
it was just chilling. And
That's wild.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not a speck of rust on it, which is really rare for our part of the country. And it runs like a champ. We've had issues along the way, which is to be expected with a car of that age, but it's still chugging along. We made it here today.
That's crazy. So what was the date that you guys hauled out? So she was like, I could live in a van, and let's go see what happens.
We bought the van in August 2017, and then about a year later almost, we took off on July 6th of this past summer, 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
July 6th.
We're coming up on 4 months on the road.
A couple days.
And
that's cool.
Yeah, we've almost dropped into 75 boxes, just shy of 75.
75.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has been, it's like an incredible experience in its own.
Yeah.
So after we bought the van, August 2017, we started doing CrossFit in October. And
so y'all weren't doing it before?
No, we're relatively
It's now a
new.
year.
Just over a year. We fell in love with it, and we're just like, we have to incorporate this into our trip somehow. And, from a van life perspective, you'll see, as kind of a life hack or a van life hack, people will join gyms in order to have a steady shower. Like they might join a national chain,
like
and that way everywhere they go,
Yeah.
they can, be guaranteed like somewhere to clean up or wash up. And we're like, well, we really like CrossFit. Let's just try to drop into CrossFit boxes everywhere we go. And usually they'll have showers. Sometimes they don't. And we have stuff in the van that we can like kind of clean up with afterwards. You know, sometimes you're stinky for a day and then you get to another box and you can shower after that WOD, or, you know, find a swimming hole.
That's so cool.
Yeah, you just got to get creative and, you know.
I didn't even think about that. Like, you could join, you know, Planet Fitness for, what, $10 a month or something like that and be almost guaranteed somewhere. That's cool. I didn't think about things. I was thinking, like, rest stops, so, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
State parks or whatnot.
It's expensive. You know, I think we went to a rest stop once because we had bad luck with finding, you know, CrossFit gyms that had locker rooms or showers.
Oh, okay.
And we're desperate for a shower, or I was at least, because I get a little cranky after like a day or two. But we went to this like travelers kind of a stop, and it was like $10 to take a shower. And I was like,
really?
You could get a Planet Fitness membership for that price.
Yeah.
And have showers for a month.
Yeah.
It was just kind of ridiculous. But
we didn't shower that day.
Yeah, so we continued on. You know, we're on a budget here, so we're not gonna.
That's crazy.
Not gonna do that.
I was surprised with that.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, because I mean, there aren't a lot of CrossFit boxes that probably have showers. At least not in my experience. I don't know. Like, we have one at ours.
Yeah, noticed that.
In the bathrooms, but and I'd say maybe around Nashville about half do ish.
Yeah.
I'd say that's typically like every other day or every 2 days we'll probably hit one. I mean, because we're in a box, I would say at least 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So out of that, maybe 3 or 4 days. So pretty good.
You got, I mean, that's a lot of drop-in fees too. Like, there's a lot of people like, oh, we like your story, just come on.
So that's part of it.
Yeah.
What we've been doing in order to like afford this journey or like make it possible to continue is while I'm driving, usually Kaley is like coordinating our next week maybe of where we plan to be and maybe what boxes we want to jump into.
Yeah.
And we'll send out an email just to kind of introduce ourselves to the owners and like let them know what we're doing. And it's really cool that along the way we've seen CrossFit boxes are usually receptive to like bartering.
Yeah. Okay.
For instance, we dropped into one back in Colorado where one of the members was also a yoga instructor. And rather than paying for a membership, he bartered like, I'll teach yoga at your box and do movements that would like complement these CrossFit workouts. I don't know, like 2 times a week or something like that in exchange for a membership. So we usually do an exchange of service where we'll offer to post on our Instagram account about that box and kind of give a write up about our experience.
That's
and
cool.
It's worked out really well. You know, we don't always get a yes. You know, some boxes are smaller and, you know, they just want to maintain that integrity to their members that, you know, if someone's coming in to use that facility that they'll be paying a drop-in fee, or maybe they just don't allow drop-ins. But we've made it work to where we can usually just exchange that post and be able to come in and experience their community and get a workout.
And it's really cool to see because now that we've been to so many boxes, you know, every time that we post, you know, you might see someone that's like, oh, I know someone at that gym, or I'm going to be traveling there for work, you know, next month. So I'll definitely have to drop into that box. So it's kind of a different way. I mean, the CrossFit community is awesome. And so in tune with itself. But like, it's really nice to be able to connect the community in another way, box to box, and bring together people that, you know, we just met through social media and hopefully one day person to person.
Once people know that you have experience in certain boxes, I mean, they reach out to us all the time and say, hey, have you guys been around this area? We're looking for a box to get there. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, check out these guys. They like us.
And it's starting to gain a little traction too. Like as we travel and we're meeting more people, and then maybe they'll follow us after we drop into their box and have a conversation with them. They'll say, hey, you know, I see that you guys are approaching Nashville. You should really check out, you know, CrossFit Trivium. Yeah. Or you should go to CrossFit 615 or, you know, CrossFit H-Dub. And those are the 3 places that we've been so far here in the Nashville area, and we've had a great experience.
Yeah. We have a lot of cool boxes around for sure. And it's been nice for me, I've gotten to know a lot of them just from doing this, and then living here, just trying out boxes. Like I'll go and drop in. Yeah. Like right around here, it's funny. Like there's probably 4 or 5 boxes. Yeah. Like within a few minutes of a drive, but I still drive over to Brentwood for Trivium.
It's your family.
You know? Yeah. I mean, it really has. And I knew people before when I transitioned boxes that went there. And so I kind of liked it. So you decide to leave in July and you go where? Where was the first, like, direction? Did you go north, south, east, west, China?
We headed west. China was not an option.
Could the van make it to China if you wanted to?
I'm optimistic. I'm going to say if we wanted to get it to China, we could figure out a way.
Well, you don't have a hole in the roof yet, so I mean,
exactly.
Surely it could float.
Yeah. Yeah, like a submarine. Yeah, submarine Walt. We headed west and we went to Erie, Pennsylvania, which is actually where I went to school.
Okay.
And it was nice because it was about 2-3 hour drive from Rochester to there, so it wasn't like terribly long. We got there, we got to enjoy the afternoon, and it was familiar to me because we noticed like along the way we're constantly using our GPS or Google to try to figure out like, all right, how can we get where we're going next? What do we want to see while we're there? And I knew that, Erie's a nice place in the summertime. Like they have Presque Isle. We went for a run with Cooper and just kind of like explored the downtown area. Yeah. We met a wonderful couple while we were there who actually, it was incredible. For our first night out on the road, they were walking their dog and, Cooper started talking to their dog and they were, introducing themselves and they kind of asked us like if we're from the area or what was our story. And, we told them what we were doing in our journey. And they're like, oh my gosh, you have to come stay at our place. And we're kind of like taken aback a little bit, like, you know, the caution lights went on. But
you've seen Misery, how they could work out.
They turned out to live on a historic landmark site in the city of Erie.
With a clown fetish?
Not the clown fetish, but it was a lighthouse. Yeah. Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So their really house was the caretaker's house for this lighthouse.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a gated property. So the first night we felt super safe. We were like in this gated area. We slept under a lighthouse. And
did you get to go up in the lighthouse?
They took us up in the lighthouse in the morning.
We had coffee with them the next morning. Like they were just unbelievable. Yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better first night.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It was really nice. It's cool how you can meet people and talk to them for 15, 20 minutes, and then they just open their home to you.
Yeah,
and that's not
come live with me.
Or that's not the only time that's happened.
And they've been following us on our journey since.
Yeah,
like keeping in touch through social media and
that's so cool.
Shout outs here and there. Yeah, it's really cool. And then from there, we kind of had like a really high sense of optimism, like moving forward. We're like, all right, like we can do this. It was a good
first step.
Yeah, a good first night to start the tone for the trip. And from there we headed south to Pittsburgh and into Maryland and Virginia. We saw our nation's capital. Yeah. And then from there it was basically straight west because we kind of had a hard deadline with the CrossFit Games.
Right. Yeah. Had to get to Wisconsin.
Exactly. We don't typically travel with hard deadlines. We like to, if we get somewhere and we really enjoy the area, we'll kind of keep it flexible. Like we might.
And you're saying you like to travel maybe like 2 or 3 hours at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep it light.
So that would in turn come knock around your deadline a little bit, depending on how long you stayed somewhere.
Exactly.
To get to Wisconsin. Yeah.
So we kind of want to keep making progress towards getting to Madison. But we kind of made our way through the Midwest and eventually to Chicago area. And we had a really good time there because that's where we met. So it was another familiar city, kind of had our bearings about us a little bit, where we wanted to go and what we wanted to see, met up with some old friends. And then we headed up the coast of Lake Michigan, into Milwaukee and eventually west to Madison.
Laverne and Shirley. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Did you go see all the sites where Batman was filmed in Chicago?
No. I mean,
did you see him while we were there?
I know there's some.
Gosh, I don't know how y'all are experiencing the United States missing things like that.
We did a flying trapeze.
It's freaking
class.
Batman, though.
That was awesome. So we did fly. We didn't see
we
Batman.
We felt like Batman.
All right.
That was awesome.
Did you wear a cape? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Man, we didn't do too great with the Batman stuff.
No, I actually didn't even know that. Is that bad?
Yeah, I spent a week there and totally unrelated, not doing Batman stuff, but I kept finding places for scenes. And I was like, oh, that's where they went under the road. We got to go. And I would drive the van underneath there and check it out.
That's pretty cool.
It's just cool.
Yeah. I mean, as you're driving around Chicago, especially with their train system, the L, you can see parts where maybe there was scenes filmed there.
Yeah.
At least it looked familiar to me, kind kind of doing the reverse of what you did as
Sure,
I watched the movie. I was like, I think I used to take that.
Yeah.
Stop or whatever. And
well, now they have like the 3 shows, like Chicago PD,
Oh yeah.
MD, and
Fire.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of Chicago there.
Yeah.
We used to watch Chicago Fire pretty religiously. And it was cool, like you said, to spot all of like the areas that look familiar, like of where we used to live.
Yeah, it's just cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you made it to Wisconsin for the games. Yeah. Somehow, some way, your hard deadline, you made it.
Yeah.
And then you just parked there, like on site, like people do?
There was a Walmart a couple miles down the road, so we stayed there a couple nights.
Because you're on a budget.
Yeah.
Got it.
But they do have camping there, so I think next year or this coming year when we go there, we're gonna camp out.
Okay.
But yeah, so
so you're going back?
Definitely, yes. It was a great experience, and I'm really excited to see
I'll
how
be there
this year is compared to last year.
Yeah, not competing, by the way, but
I'll
be there. You'll have to come by and say hi.
We'll be competing to drink as many Zevias as possible, or Zevias.
Now, did you go to the Barbell Voodoo booth while you were there? You didn't even go, did you? Go ahead, be honest. Just say it. Oh, yeah, it was there.
We're terrible. Yeah, I don't know. We made our way around the vendor pavilion.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
Quite a few times. I will say that.
Yeah.
Well, come by next year. I'll be there.
Yeah. We'll have a familiar face for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The games were incredible, though. It's kind of a cool story. So we, obviously being on the budget, we had the festival passes. So you can get into the whole outdoor area and you can watch the teens and masters, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
In the Coliseum. If they have any events in there, you could.
You could go into that. But for like the individual events, you couldn't go into the Coliseum unless you had the Coliseum pass.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
the whole thing is a racket with all the different levels and how expensive it is.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It was insane. Yeah. But we actually got super lucky. So I think it was the second day, maybe first or second day, and we follow Stacy Tovar on Instagram. And she posted a story and was like, hey, I'm going to be in the park across the street. Come work out with me. So we actually were trying to fit a lot in. I think you said this last time. So there was a Ragnar relay race right pretty much before kind of same time. So we wanted to do that too. So we got to go over and we did the Ragnar relay. We got to do a warm-up with Henshaw.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And
Rory McKernan was also over
he was there racing it too. So we did a lap on the Ragnar relay, sprinted over to the park, and met up with Stacy and a bunch of other people. Did the workout with Stacy, which was so much fun. And then afterwards, she took everyone's name, put it in a hat, and she was going to draw for Coliseum passes. So we put our names in, crossed our fingers, and someone actually drew my name. And we won 2 passes. So it completely changed the game for our whole week, you know? It was amazing. We got to go in there. We got to see everyone compete, which was unbelievable. Awesome. We sat with Stacy and her friends, so we kind of got to, ask her some questions. We try not to be too crazy, you know?
Like, what's your favorite deodorant? Things like that.
Took a couple pictures, but we kept it on the...
Tried to be chill.
Yeah.
We're trying super hard to, not be, fanatics.
Yeah, not go fangirl on her.
It's hard, and you don't want to be, weird and quiet in the corner either, not talking at all, but you also don't want to be like, hey, how do you train? What do you eat?
Favorite color?
What's your schedule?
What's your favorite color? That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, but it was unbelievable. She was really nice. I mean, she answered any questions that we had and was talking to us and was super nice about everything. But it was an unbelievable week, and that just made it that much better to be able to get in there and see everyone compete and see, that final WOD and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
That's cool. See, growing up in Nashville, there's a code here. With all celebrities and famous people, you just ignore them. If you're from here, you just do. You just don't care. You see people all the time. There was a time Nicole Kidman stole my soul after she stalked me for a month, but we're not here to talk about that.
I'm really intrigued though.
Yeah, it was a real thing, and then she stole a piece of my soul, and I can never have that back. But anyways, she was stalking me for a month. So when I meet famous people, like I was telling you guys, being at Mayhem, I went up there early to get my L1 and hung out and got invited. I went to a members night. They had a cookout members night. So everybody's there. Dan was in town and everybody was there. And I was talking to Hillary, for a little while, just hanging out. I don't get fangirly. I'm just oh, okay, cool.
They're people too, right?
Oh, yeah. Or generally it's like, well, that person is really short. Like, because I'm like 6'5", like everybody's short to me. But, but like, I just don't. And most of the time I wouldn't even notice anybody. Like if they pass me by, like my wife will go, "Oh, that's so-and-so." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Cool. Like, I don't know. I just don't have that within me. And I think it was just because it was, stamped down my entire life, being around people like, or some weird experiences seeing Lee Greenwood making out with like these really young chicks in Kroger's. I don't know. There's a whole other thing there that may have scarred me as a kid. But he's proud to be an American, or at least he knows he's free. But anyways, so that's cool though. So I just don't have those genes in me that gets like, That's a
good thing. I feel like. Yeah. I mean,
I just want to make things weird and awkward, which I'm super good at on accident. Not intentionally.
It's good to see how people respond in a situation like that sometimes.
I guess. I'm like, I want to ask you something that normal people would ask if they really knew you. Like, instead of the same old questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, can we get a for instance?
Like for Stacy Tovart?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. I may ask her something weird like, what's your favorite deodorant or something like that.
Yeah.
She's not going to be answering that one. No, like, that was the initial one that came in my mind when you said her name. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
Wonder what kind of deodorant she wears.
She uses, well, it works. She's like one of those organic chicks, like that uses the Toms or whatever.
Yeah.
The one without the aluminum in it. I don't know. Maybe
aluminium.
Should have asked. Opportunity wasted.
Oh, see, she could be toxin free, and you're being toxin,
and it's holding us back.
Yeah,
that's why we're not an X Games athlete right now.
Well,
man.
And this is your last year to do it, really, unless you want to travel all over the world.
Started a year ago. I don't know. It could go either way.
I wouldn't say that your physical limitations are what's holding you back at this point. It's got to be your deodorant choices.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Deodorant or socks.
Socks could
probably
be.
Don't have the right socks.
Now, speaking of great socks, Swiftwick is a Nashville company that makes the best socks in the world.
Swiftwick.
You just need to know about that.
Okay.
Well, when in Rome, maybe we should get a pair of Swiftwick. Or when in Nashville.
Yeah.
While we're here.
They sell them everywhere. They're worldwide.
Perfect.
They're fantastic socks.
All right. That's what we're doing this afternoon, I guess.
Noted.
Yeah. They're also really expensive, so they might not be in the budge. But
we'll buy one pair.
Swiftwick, if you're listening, we'd love to test out some of your socks while we're here in the Nashville area.
Yeah, there you go. So, weird story about Swiftwick. They are not sponsors of the podcast. They give me no money whatsoever. However, they have given me socks inadvertently. So one of the girls was in a youth group that I knew well, and so like I was talking to her one day, and I said, I just got done doing this bike ride, and they handed out these Swiftwick socks, and I was super bummed because they don't make them in a size 15. Like they don't go up that high. And they stopped at 14, and I was like, well, what's the use? I won socks, but I couldn't wear them, so I just didn't take them. And she was like, well, that's really weird because I know that they make like size 15 socks. Yeah. And I was like, no, they don't. And so I'm just like not a big fan. I was kind of just like not jerky, but a little bit jerky about it, like not knowing who she was or who she related to, that her parents are the ones that started it, or her dad, and with a friend. And so the next day, my wife, who worked for that church, showed up to work, and she had 3 pairs of socks laying on her desk.
Oh,
nice. And she wrote a note, something about like, see, I told you we make size. Something funny. And ever since that moment, I've bought Swiftwick socks. In fact, like the pair I'm wearing now are like 10 years old.
Really? Wow.
The same pair, one of the pairs. Like they last forever. Yeah. They're phenomenal socks. Yeah.
That's great.
We probably should invest.
So I love them because I still wear them today. And I'm just saying, they're great. Yeah.
Might be worth spending, maybe.
It's an investment, really.
Yeah.
It's really an investment.
If you could get 10 years out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. There's been like one pair that had something weird that happened to it, but that's about it. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
The deal is, though, okay, if you're going Swiftwick and you want to get a bunch of socks for a lower price, you buy what's called their grab bag. And so online, you can find like, I don't know, the grab bag, and they send you socks of just whatever they have in that size. And so like they'll overproduce socks for different companies that make socks.
Yeah.
Like different marathons and different things they've made socks for, schools and whatnot. And so they'll send you whatever's kind of that season. So I have like some long wool ones that are really expensive that I've gotten, like ankle socks and, kind of 5-inch socks. They're really cool.
I like that.
Kind of like Christmas. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And so I have a couple that are like from high schools and one from like a Nashville basketball association or something like that. That one is like red and white stripes, and those don't fit every occasion. And the other one is, there goes Bella. That's great.
There's friends outside.
Yeah, that dog. Well, welcome to the podcast. Bella, the Labradoodle, who just saw a little girl walking past the house with a backpack on.
She probably just wanted to chime in. She wants a pair of Swiftwicks too.
Way to go, Bella. So yeah, Swiftwicks, fantastic. So you went to the games. You met Stacy Tovar. You fangirled all over her, and got to hang out with her, which is pretty sweet. And then you went where? Where did you head that way?
Continued west. So our whole path,
so that was the furthest west you've been at that point.
Yeah, well,
on this trip.
On this trip, yes.
Yeah, on this trip.
Yeah, the general idea, especially with the way the van is rear-wheel drive and not four-wheel drive, is we decided that it would be in our best interest to chase warm weather.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't even have thought of something like that. That's brilliant.
It's easier to pack for warm weather. You know, most of the clothes are similar to gym clothes, you know, shorts, t-shirt, or whatnot, and we don't have to pack winter boots or gloves or hats or, you know, a large jacket. And so we figured,
Dang, that's really smart. Like, I would have never even thought of that.
This guy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, from a packing standpoint.
That was the wormhole. You found that on one of the wormholes, or did you come up with that yourself?
That came up to me when we were packing, because Kaley was concerned about the amount of clothes she was going to be able to bring.
Yeah,
so
naturally.
Like, you know, we started to think
clothes.
like, oh my gosh, like hoodies are bulky, and then we started talking about like weather, like how are we going to prepare for all these different situations? Like, well, if our route follows warm weather, you know, it kind of limits the amount of
just avoid it.
Clothes that we have to pack for. So
that's freaking
more
brilliant.
Efficient, you know, all about efficiency.
So how many days did you actually pack for? Like how many consecutive days, and then you're like, okay, we got to do laundry every 7 days. We got to do laundry every 14, or
yeah. So we do laundry every week, like once a week. And I think we packed, I would say roughly, well, for gym clothes, about 7 days, right?
Yeah,
6-7 days.
Yeah.
And you know, we're not always like doing something crazy, so probably just wear gym clothes. So we have a couple options. Like if we meet up with friends and we go to dinner, we have some nicer outfits. But that's pretty much it. So I actually packed wrong. So we have hit some cold weather and I haven't had warm enough clothes. So I did a poor job at that.
I mean, with that being said, when we hit the cold weather, we had both packed wrong. Like,
and we hit snow in Breckenridge. So that was pretty hard. The van, I mean, we didn't have heat. The windshield was freezing up. Like we didn't have jackets. We were a mess.
It was bad. You know, once we reached our friend's house in Breckenridge, we kind of hunkered down for a couple of days until because it was about to warm back up. And we're just like, it's better just to not even attempt to drive, because, I mean, we were literally pulling over on the side of the highway, and I was getting out with a beach towel, and scraping ice off of the front windshield just because we didn't have defrost.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way to keep it from fogging up, and we had windows down to try to keep, like, the temperature low and offset
your
our
heat
breath.
and AC went out.
Yes.
The heat is tough to go out. Like, that's a different unit.
I'm pretty sure it's the blower is the issue. Like,
so you basically get heat off of your engine,
right,
and it blows it. You know,
and but
carbon monoxide.
When you're changing it from low to high,
something else happens.
Nothing happens.
Really? Yeah. So it's got to be a fan, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's crazy.
Again, procrastinating, but we're making do for a while there. Like we went through California, it was nice and warm, but not too hot. So we're just windows down, and it was fine. And we would sleep with like our windows cracked and the fan on, and it was perfect. It was a good, comfortable temperature. But then all of a sudden, you start to head through the mountains, things change a bit.
Yes.
So, we need to get that looked at.
So you went out west, went down the west coast, you know, southwise, and then started head back this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So if you look at the map overall, like our whole plan is, we started in New York.
Yeah.
And then we went across kind of like the northern states down the coast. We've started cutting back through the middle. So here we're on the East Coast. And then after the new year, we're going to go down through the Gulf and back over. So it's kind of like a big S, kind of bobbing and weaving all the way across. So we hit
and
majority.
And then cut like diagonal back
states.
Or like, how do you get back from there?
TBD. So I don't know. We have us ending up California,
Just burn the van and fly back.
Maybe sell the van.
Or sell it.
Yeah, sell the van and I don't know. Take a plane back. I don't.
Yeah.
It's all up in the air. It just kind of depends on what
That's
time of year.
One thing that
where
we've
we're
noticed,
at.
from all these van life YouTube videos that we watch, is it's extremely popular on the West Coast. Probably a lot because of the weather, but it's just, I guess it suits the lifestyle. Like, they're cruising up and down the California coast and, surfing or doing whatever. And there's a lot of, VW vans out there, buses that you'll see, and those are pretty cool. But we figure, we got a great deal on the van. We've got our use out of it. And maybe when we get back out to the West Coast, that's a great market to sell it and potentially make a profit in.
Sure.
So if you're listening and looking for a van, 1985,
DM us.
Yeah.
May or June of next year, of course.
But it's just an option.
That's a great idea, though.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
So all the way out west, and then whatever happens. Like, you either start driving or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting too, because like the whole trip we went into it.
Do you have luggage?
We use totes.
Okay.
We got clear ones so we can see what's in it from the outside. So like before you go digging around,
You could ship them if
see.
you needed to or whatever.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
we could. Yeah, throw them in a cardboard box or duct tape them. I don't know. It
You
could
just
work.
duct tape
Yeah.
that shit.
Or sell the totes with the van, donate the clothes because they definitely have their use at that point, and then just like start fresh when we get home.
Man, I would
Got
hate to
options.
ride beside you guys in an airplane on the way back. I'm just saying.
Hopefully we catch a shower before.
Yeah,
These are the last clothes we have.
we would find a way,
We wouldn't do that to someone. Yeah.
And we'd definitely be sitting next to each other, so we'd try to
True,
be
yeah.
courteous of that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are only two
Unless you're on
rows.
Southwest. You
True.
can get split up on accident.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Oh my gosh.
I had this guy get really mad at me at Southwest. Like, my wife and I were traveling somewhere, but we were going on a work thing. Her work paid for her ticket. My work paid for my ticket.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
And so, like, I paid the extra $15 to get a better position. Okay. And so I boarded first and just saved her a seat. Like, legally, I did not, wasn't playing the system. 2 different passengers, 2 different trips. We just happened to be married.
Yeah.
And so this guy got on right behind me and wanted to sit beside me. I'm like, we're in A seating. Like, half the plane is empty. and he was like, I was like, no, I'm saving this. My wife's coming and is gonna sit here. Well, you can't save seats. And I was like, well, we have 2 different tickets. Like, it wasn't playing. Like, it's just what it is. Well, you're not supposed to save seats, and this is against the. Luckily, I'm a nice person. He like started giving me like the riot act about like how whatever, you're not supposed to save seats, and he was so mad, and I was like, that's ridiculous. And he finally just like walked back and like found a seat, and then talked this lady's ear off. And I was the whole time I heard him talking, I was like, I'm so glad he is not beside me talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the worst. Because he's like not the guy that really cared about you as much as just want to talk the entire time. And like, that'd be the worst.
Well, I got to ask, you're 6'5", so was it the exit row that you upgraded to? More leg room?
I don't think I ended up getting it on that.
Do you typically shoot for the?
Oh, yeah.
exit row? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
But it's not, I mean, like, it's not bad. I mean, I don't fly anywhere that has to go really far either for that reason, because I'll like have indentions in my knees.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and to put it this way, like, regardless of whether you were sitting in the exit row or not, if you're waiting for your wife to board, like, and I was that guy behind you, I would have just gone into an empty row. Like, why would you go and deliberately try to
they were
sit
in the bathroom or something,
sit
like,
right next to somebody? That's so
weird.
strange.
It was super weird, and the guy was super weird. Anyways, that won't happen to you guys.
No.
You guys will be fine.
Yeah, and
You're
so
fine.
like, with having like an open-ended end of our journey and not really sure what we're going to do at that point, we kind of were just like leaving options open for ourselves.
But do you have a date? Like, you need to be back by July 5th?
Well,
Our renters are in there till what, end of June?
Yes.
So we can't move back home into our house.
So you have
until end
over
of
a year,
June.
really, planned.
Yeah. So I guess we could always go back to Rochester. We just can't go back home.
Go back home.
We
we could stay with
You don't
family.
have
We
one?
could see like, hey, do you guys want to renew your lease? And maybe we'll just figure out another option.
Okay.
Something I've always been interested in is like rental properties. So maybe this is a good shove into that, you know,
True.
a way to make that happen. But while we're traveling and before we started the trip, we kind of agreed that we're going to keep an open mind as we traveled and like as we visit these different cities and spots of the country, like if we do happen upon somewhere that we could really see ourselves living in the future, that we would explore.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah.
So we do have a house, we do have family and friends and like roots back in Rochester, but we have friends and family spread all over the country. And as we continue to travel and continue to make friends, like there's going to be a lot of options and like maybe figure out like where's the right spot for us.
Right.
So
have you found any way lately? Like so far, have you found a place that's like, that's potential?
Yeah, I think that's what it usually stays at is potential, just because we constantly talk about how it's hard to compare it to what we haven't seen yet. Like we still have this whole path out west.
Like I don't assume you found your place, but like, so what will you say them? Where are the places that you're like, that could work?
California was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Colorado.
Where in California and where in Colorado? Like, were there specific areas or
Southern
just
California, right?
Okay.
When you say
Southern California, south of LA, but north of San Diego, like right in that area was like one of our favorite spots so far. Maybe just because we checked off a huge bucket list item while we were there. We took a surf lesson. And
cool!
So much
it was like
fun.
one of the best experiences we've had, and we both actually got up on the boards.
Yep.
I think our CrossFit like burpee practice really helped on like getting up. So that was cool. I think in Colorado we explored the Denver area. Like we went through Grand Junction to Breckenridge and like kind of through that pass. But Denver and the surrounding areas are really nice, and like it's a very active state.
Yeah,
and I feel
super active.
It's easy to compare
to
Nashville.
Very active.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember being there. I was like, "Wow, it literally is everywhere." Like,
it is. And it's so crazy to be like driving and you pull up to another like next to a car and like you're like, "Oh, I smell pot."
Yeah,
right now. I'm sorry. Like,
if you're not used to it, it's super like you're all of a sudden like, "Oh,
yeah, it's strange.
Are they gonna see you?"
Yeah, it's kind of like it turns on your alarms or whatever. You're like, what's the? Oh wait, that's okay here.
Yeah.
But we loved like being so close to the mountains, and there's like a lot of things to do outdoors.
Whatever it is, there's something there that makes you want to be in it, like be active and be out in nature, like culture, the surroundings, all of it. Just is like, nah, you're gonna be out today. One
thing I didn't know or realize until we actually visited is Denver and that area get a ridiculous amount of days of sun per year too. And there's just something about it being sunny outside that makes you want to be more active rather than like an overcast, gloomy day. And it does get cold there, but it seems kind of moderate. Like it gets cold back home in Rochester too, but they're surrounded by these gorgeous mountains with like incredible ski resorts, and there's so much to do. So that's pretty high up on the list.
That's cool.
And then coming here to Nashville, we've had a great experience. Yeah. We really like it here. I think that there's a lot to do here.
Nashville.
Kaley's originally from the South, so like there's always that discussion that we have about getting back to the South and the warmth and away from the Rochester winters.
Yeah. Well, in the opposite of Colorado, like we have a ridiculous amount of rain. Like we actually get more rain than like Seattle, who is known for their rain. Yeah.
I had no idea.
That's crazy.
Amount of rain.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it may have mist and stuff more rainy days. Yeah. But as far as amount of waterfall, we get more.
Well, at least you guys get it over with.
It's crazy.
Like when it rains, it pours.
Lately it feels like it's been raining for like weeks around here. But yeah, like, I'm one of the weirdos that grew up here and stayed here. And I just love Nashville. But
not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I go to other places and I'm like, I could make this work too, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we're
cool in its own way. It's kind of hard, like, because everyone asks us, what's your favorite place? And it's just like, I don't know. I like here because of this and there because of that. Like, they all just have their own cool little things about them that I love. So
yeah, when we get to the end of the trip, we'll just have to weigh out the pros and cons and see what we're feeling.
That's so neat, man. I love that you guys are at this place in your life that one, you can do it. So you worked hard for a few years, you saved up, you scrimped whatever, and then hit the road, and then now you're like, we're going to do something else. Like this next chapter of life is going to look completely different. It might be in a different place. It might not. Whatever.
It's really exciting.
It's kind of refreshing,
we
too.
We talk about it all the time, all the options that we have or what we want to do. You know, it's just really cool to be able to have that opportunity to try to figure out what our real passion is and where we want to be and how we want to live. And
it's great too to like, instead of focusing on like reasons why not to just think of ways to make it happen. You know, just like, all right, this is something we want to do. Like, how do we do it? Like, let's get it done.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It's funny you say that because a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. And it's really just, you know, how bad do you want to do it and figuring out the steps you need to take in order to make it happen. You know, we saved for a long time. We didn't go out to eat, you know, every single weekend, every time people asked us to, or go to the movies or whatever it was, because we knew this is something we really wanted to do.
Oh, that's a racket. Movies are so expensive now. $50. It makes me so angry when the girls are like, let's go watch a movie. I'm like, oh, why don't you just cut me and make me bleed? Like, gosh, that's an $80 trip. Like, you know, because we got to get the popcorn, you got to get the drinks, and like, you can't sneak stuff in because I can't sleep at night if we do that. And like, you know, it's just all downhill. Anyways,
it's crazy.
My problems, now your problems. So, all right. So the big question, forget about all this nice, you know, where you're going to live and spend the rest of your life happily ever after stuff. Best CrossFit box you've seen so far. You don't have to say Trivium, even though you're just there and probably the most elite coaching you've ever had, which is probably not true because it was me.
I did really enjoy today.
But like best CrossFit box you've been to.
Depends on what we're talking about.
Okay,
so
they're all different.
Let's do category 1. The facility, best CrossFit facility that you've experienced so far in your 70 drop-ins or whatever.
Are we talking about size? Are we talking about like equipment, everything?
I'm not quantifying it in any way other than just this was the best facility we've experienced.
Oh, that's so hard.
Okay, top 3 then. I mean,
okay, yeah, it has to be multiple. Well, we went to Invictus. That was cool.
Which Invictus?
Downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was cool to see. It was huge. You know, there were a lot of people who were really strong there, you know, so it's cool to
really
be in that
athletic
type of environment.
Folks.
Yeah. Who would have killed my time today and so on. So that was really cool to see. We went to 417, right?
Yep.
We saw Jessica Griffith and, you know, a ton of people there too. So that was cool. So
that's really cool.
So if we're talking about, you know, people who are really inspiring just to watch in their daily workout.
No, just facility.
Like, that's really
just
cool.
facility.
Okay, sorry.
Just facility. You're jumping
one
ahead categories.
One facility to me that stands out. Like I think it was really cool when we went to Milwaukee and we worked out at Brew City CrossFit.
That was cool.
It was in an old warehouse district and it had, you know, 3 bays, I would say, where you could see like the rafter, like the support beams and the rafters were kind of dividing it into 3 separate areas, and they kind of rolled with that. And so one area was designated for class. The middle area was all platforms for Olympic lifting.
Cool.
And then there was another area like open gym style where you could come in and do your own programming. And they had like barbells and a rig and like bumper plates and everything you would need on that far end. It had garage door, you know, that would roll up, and
that was really cool.
It had showers, which was great.
It's a plus.
And then it also had a bar set up inside.
Oh, cool.
And so, like, you know, you could have a post-WOD beer maybe if you really killed it that day. Or I don't know if it was functional or not. Who cares? But Milwaukee is known for their breweries, and like that's Brew City. So it's very fitting that they had that there.
That's great.
They had an in-house chiropractor. Like that one really just stood out as being like a cool facility. And you kind of, like, when I think of CrossFit, I think of like a certain amount of like grunge, you know, like a garage type feel. And this was just like brick and steel, and it was large open space. You could see everything that was going on, but it was also divided somehow. It's like an open feel, but not like entirely open. I don't know. It was a cool spot. And then, I mean,
I like that.
If that's kind of what appeals to me, but then I also like the smaller ones because it's more like, for example, Trivium today, you know, we got to talk about how that building or facility was designed with CrossFit in mind. So they had locker rooms and they had, you know, showers for their members, and there was a rig in the center, which I think is very important because when you put a rig on the wall, you only get to use one side of it.
Yeah.
But you have it in the center, you could have people squatting like almost mirror drill facing each other, which we did today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of funny, maybe a little awkward at one point when you're in the bottom of your squat.
Oh yeah, I like
contact.
deep eye contact with people when I'm squatting, but that's just me.
It really makes you dig, and want to get out of that bottom. But no, that was cool too. And we've seen other boxes like Trivium where, it's perfect for like a 12-member type class setting. And then you get that good coach to member ratio too, which we love. So I also like those facilities. It's just kind of like, I don't know, what you're feeling that day. Like, are we going there to participate in a class? Are we going there to do our own programming where we kind of want some space so we don't feel like we're intruding or like in the way?
Right.
And that's kind of been something that we've experienced along the way too.
That's cool.
We have our own programming that we get from our coach. What up, Brennan?
Where's that from?
CrossFit Park Ave in Rochester. And we also, our box has a barbell club that's called 12th Ward Barbell.
Oh, cool. My old box we had barbell classes 3 times a week, and it was fantastic. And Trivium, I think, has one once a week, but it's not at a time where I can go. And so I really miss that. That's cool.
It's great to have that programming, because then if we do drop-in classes every day, we've had it to where like we've done like power cleans 3 days in a row.
Right.
Because each box is doing the same thing just on a different day. Or not the same thing, but a similar lift.
Right.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this for another day in a row. So the programming helps us keep on track and, a good variety where we're progressing in, all these different areas. But I don't know, like pros and cons, kind of the theme of, this trip is we want to interact with the class and meet the members and have the conversations and, do the WOD together. But we also kind of need to do our own programming sometimes just because we've done power cleans 3 days in a row. And we just need to change it.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it goes back and forth. Yeah. But I think those types of facilities are good for classes. 100%.
That's cool. So have you experienced any CrossFit boxes that you were like, their mentality, the way they're programming or the way they're coaching stood out to you?
Yeah. It's kind of wild. And I think you'd agree, Kaley, that like CrossFit boxes that we've dropped into have all been very different as far as like the facility or like the way they're set up or even their programming, but the community is very much the same.
Right.
But the variety in the programming is kind of refreshing, or the coaching styles. So you get to see like, all right, what works for this box versus what this box is doing over here, or what we're used to back home. Our CrossFit box back home in Rochester, I think, had a great setup with programming, because we would, we'd always have 3 parts: the warm up, a strength portion, and then a Metcon, very similar to what we did with you today.
Yeah.
And then there's other boxes where, like CrossFit Loveland, for example, we dropped in and, met up with our friend Coach Manny, who we met at the games, actually at Stacy Tovar's workout. He focuses on building throughout a warm-up process that leads to the Metcon, which sometimes would involve like a strength portion or a lift or something. But for instance, if you were doing running that day, you don't just, go out and run your 400 or whatever. You're rolling out your ankles and you're, you're doing some runner's stretches that get your body prepared for that. And usually that's the case in the warm-ups that we've seen, but I feel like some boxes have paid extra close attention. And that's something that we struggle with. Like, we kind of tend to do the same warm-up when we're doing our own programming, no matter what lifts we're doing. So that's something that we got to get better at.
Yeah, I was in D.C. a couple weeks ago for a week during fall break. We went up there and saw all the things. And the box that I ended up going to, like, I'm the weird guy that like weeks out is like kind of trolling on boxes and like checking things out and getting especially if it's a place I've never been, like Washington. I hadn't been as an adult to go, CrossFit places. And so ended up going to CrossFit MPH in Washington. It was voted number 1 last year, CrossFit gym in Washington. So I was like,
nice,
cool, let's go check it out. Super small CrossFit box. But what they did was the people were super nice. The coaches were earning their money, no doubt. So one day they had like a Metcon, and the next day they had a strength day, and the next day they had a Metcon. And so like all the warm up led up to the Metcon, like working up to that, which was really neat. When I got there, I was like, when are I gonna lift anything? Like the first day in there, I'm like, I kind of want to lift something. Like, you got time? Oh, you got in a class. Okay. And the next day, all we did was lift. And I was like, well, this is kind of weird. Like the first thinking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, I kind of like that. Yeah. Because the coaches on the lifting days had looked up everybody's totals in classes and their max lifts, and they had the progression that they wanted to see each member make in that class.
Wow!
To make like a what were we doing? We were doing overhead squats, and so they had the number that they PR'd, and they wanted to see each member try to like a pound or a pound and a half over their PR.
Yeah, that
was their goal that day, and so they had these progressions lined up for every single person that was in that class. And there was like 3 morning classes. This was one in the middle. And so we talked about numbers, and they were asking me, and like, you know, like I'm 39. I'm not like the 20-year-olds that I'm working out with, like who are like, oh, let's see, I'm still going up, and like I'm like, we're gonna see how today goes. You know? Right? And so they're like, what's your one rep? And I was like, it's this, but I'm not sure it's going to be that today. So let's. And so like I told them kind of where I thought I'd be for that day. But it was. I'd never experienced coaching like that on lifting days, where they were going person by person. Hey, I want you to start here. Hey, I want you to do this first. I want you to do this first. Hey, watch this. Instead of just coaching them, they were also guiding them along this journey. And I was like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is.
And so when I saw the way that they operated within the way they were doing things, I was like, that's a really neat way to do things. And I thought that was really a cool experience for me. You know, it's very different programming. And there's some people around Nashville that just program differently, the way that they think about things. There's a box in Florida that I go to in Panama City that just programs differently. They have a different mindset. They have a different way they do things. That box specifically does strong fit stuff. They were just on the podcast not long ago. And so strong fit is this kind of way of operation, the way of engaging your body in ways that CrossFit is like adapting as quick as possible as they can into their programming, which is super cool. Yeah. But like the only North American CrossFit strong fit coach is in Florida.
Oh, okay.
So like we've become friends over the years. And so like, but people who do things like that are so neat to experience. Just a fresh kind of thing. Trey's the same way. You guys were just there at HW. Yep. He just programs differently than the norm. He thinks about things differently. He has you do things differently than the norm, that normal CrossFit box you walk into. Yeah. You know, there's something unique about it, and the way he thinks about things, and the way he's engaging your body to do movements better and more efficiently and effectively and stuff. And I really appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah, we had a good experience at HW, and it was kind of cool that we actually dropped in on a Wednesday, which apparently with the way that he programs is usually a team workout. Okay. So we were in teams of 3, and it was great because we got to actually work out side by side in a team event, I guess.
That's fun. Yeah,
with people we'd never met before. So we got to know them better.
Workouts.
And, you know, I appreciate the built-in rest. You know, you're a team conquering a workout rather than just one person. So like,
well, you tend to go a little bit harder because those guys are waiting on you.
Yeah, you don't want to let them down.
Or someone's holding something, or you know, whatever's happening. Like
exactly,
you got to bring your A game because they're watching you.
That's right. That's right. And like, if someone's better at one thing than the other, you can strategize at that point too. Like if I'm really good at handstand push-ups and someone else is a beast on the rower, maybe I'll do a little bit more handstand push-ups and they'll row a couple extra calories. And then it all, you know, it works to the advantage of the team, which we really, you know, saw while we were working out there. And then back to the programming at different boxes. I feel like when you walk into a box, maybe you don't notice it immediately, but certainly by the time you're walking out, each box has their own vibe. You know, so like some boxes you might have a bunch of regional athletes or, you know, regionals are no longer. So maybe you have games athletes, like when we dropped in CrossFit 417, and there's just a tone there. You know, like there's an intensity where it might be completely different if you're going into a CrossFit box where, you know, people are there to be fit and have fun, and they're more about the community and doing events, and it's a social thing, which is great in its own way too, because everybody's working to their own level of fitness. And like, so some boxes, for instance, we've had a warm up that was like geared right towards the Metcon, and it was like finely tuned. And then other places we've gone to in the warm up has been dodgeball, which is great. Like we had a blast, and it does get you warmed up, and it gets you interacting with everybody else.
And I would love to play dodgeball. I tried to get my old box. They don't quite understand how crazy and weird I am at this one yet. It's only been a little over a year. And I was like, let's do like the 14 and the 10 pound med balls and play dodgeball. And they were like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I was like, let's just try it. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen?
Watch the headshots.
Yeah. Like, you know, I don't know. Or even get the kid ones, like 4 pounds, 6 pounds. I mean, I'm just saying it would be a blast, and the stakes are high.
Yeah.
Like, and so you gotta be in it.
Right.
Like, there's no slacking off in that one.
It could be an event in the games next year. Who knows? Eventually introduce the concussion protocol into CrossFit.
We've been training for this CrossFit health.
Seriously.
Maybe it's not a good idea. I don't know.
That's funny.
So what else CrossFit box wise have are you going to kind of take?
I don't know. I think we focus a lot on like the facility and the, you know, how things are arranged, and like if there's things that we think would be effective, maybe if we open our own box one day, which is a goal of ours. So it's kind of cool to see best practices from everywhere and just try to take those, you know, into consideration and create like this hopefully successful box that people want to be members at, and you know, look at what coaches are doing, and you know, like the box that you went to in DC, the attention that they were giving each member is time consuming, sure, but look at how much you appreciated it and how big of an impact it had on you. You know,
it was incredible.
Very cool. So we just try to like take notes of everything. We're just soaking up information like a sponge and trying to, you know, remember it for when eventually we have our own box and people are visiting us.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think that's fantastic. And, you know, as you guys kind of keep this going for a little bit longer, you know, it's going to be cool to follow your journey. Check them out at on Insta at CrossFit Across America, all kind of like one word across there at CrossFit Across America. You can follow their journey. They're here in Nashville through Tuesday. So you'll hear this on Monday, and they'll be here maybe through Tuesday. So you'll have 24 hours to connect with them right before you hear this. So like, I don't know that I ever want to be like the sole person to open a CrossFit gym. Okay. But you guys are thinking about this, so maybe you can steal this idea and take it. So here's my ultimate dream. Like one day when I decide that to stop doing what I do full time, is I want to create a CrossFit like life change center. Like you had mentioned, one of the ones you found had like chiropractor on site. Like I want to have like PT, chiropractor, a you know, regular general practice physician, you know, GPP doctor. I want to have like counselors and like psychotherapy available. As well as like one-stop shop, like for life change. Like you come here, maybe even allow like a church to have like church there every once in a while. So like mind, body, and spirit are all covered. So like when someone like me who wants to come in and go, I want my life to change, you go, great. Let's talk about all the tools you need to work through. One of those is always going to be a mental battle. And so let's start you with counseling and a food plan, like we'll have a nutritionist that we work with, you know, like let's just see what happens. Like we're going to surround you with all the things that you need and see how far you can go.
That's awesome.
Like, sounds like a great idea.
I would love it. But I would love to be a part of something like that, you know? So maybe that's something you guys can do when you're in California. You're like, I'm going to live here. And you're like, let's just do it to the nines.
It's a great idea.
100%.
You know?
Sounds fantastic.
Because like like for me, like I've piecemealed my life journey and like the pieces that I need. And the one thing that I knew going into this from a previous failed attempt was that like I needed a team around me.
Yeah.
And so like we always talk about CrossFit gyms and how many people come through them who are ready for that change. And the hardest part is, getting in the door, and just getting in there. So like I want to create a door that if someone is bold enough and just dumb enough at the time to like walk through it, to go, all this is available to you to walk alongside you in your life change. Like, let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
And instead of have like a PR board, like have like a life change board, and like the highlight in the box are people's whose lives have changed. Like this guy no longer has type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
Like this guy is part of the 100-pound club. Like this guy, and just have people that you highlight, as opposed to so many boxes who are like, I want to get this stellar games athlete to start working out here. Like at our gyms, we have people that have been to regionals. We have people that still compete, and that's great. But people, 90% of CrossFit community wants their life to change.
Yeah.
They don't want to go to the games. They don't want to be the 1%. They want to be around them and they think it's cool.
Yeah.
But like if we start highlighting people whose lives have been changed by something, that once someone has gotten the courage to make it through that door and they start seeing people and they go, well, crap, that dude doesn't have diabetes anymore. That girl lost 100 pounds here.
Yeah.
Like, how in the world can that happen? And you're like, well, sky's the limit. Like,
Yeah.
and we're here to help you.
And it's not intimidating. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
So when you walk in that door, you aren't scared. You're like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a great idea.
It's not like blank walls. It's not like,
Not just it's awesome, it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That person could be walking through the door with those same goals in mind or things that they want to overcome. So yeah, like that's someone who did it. They're still a member here. You should talk to them, ask about their journey and what they did and how this facility helped them do it.
And like it goes a long way. Like I teach a free Wednesday night class at a CrossFit box on the other side of town. And so like a lot of people come to that who would never have tried out anything. And then people who come to my gym at my house, like people come and work out here a couple nights a week. And so like I program for them and we do things that way.
That's awesome.
All for free. Like just show up because I've made something accessible to them, because I'm not some kind of like crazy ripped dude. Like I'm not even that strong if we're going to be honest, like, but I can do some things that I never could do before. And so like, I think it's beautiful that you guys are looking and absorbing and checking things out and going, one day, like this could be our reality. And we're going to take the best from across the country and go, this is what we're going to be about.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
going to be a melting pot, really, if you think about it, of the entire country and the CrossFit community that we've experienced. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, also, I can't wait to follow, along the way
you.
and see what you guys are up to. And, of course, when you guys make your first T-shirts and all that, Barbell Voodoo private label, we're here to help you.
All right.
Anything else you need along the way, man, it's really cool what you guys are doing. And there's going to be so many people that are going to listen to this and go, yeah, but I have kids. And yeah, but, I don't have that much money. Or yeah, but I don't have a 1985 van. Or like, people are going to put all
we can help you with that.
Yeah, but people are going to make all these excuses. And like, I think I just put out a blog today about the good old days and how people have just given up. As life progresses, they just give up. And they're like, the good old days have passed. And I'm like, what if today, what if today was like a good old day? And like one day you look back, like what you did today mattered. But anyways, and so like, when you guys are, if you could say something to somebody along the way that was like, this is impossible. Like what they're doing is totally inspiring and I would love to do it, but, and they're filling in that blank with all kinds of stuff. Like what would you say to those people for your closing remarks?
Butts are for ashtrays. I don't know. Like,
that's the greatest thing that's been said all this whole time.
I just saw an opportunity and I went for it.
Butts are for ashtrays.
You could also say excuses are like butts. Everybody's got one and they all stink. I don't know. Like there's so many things you could say to that effect. But here's the thing. We know that, the stars kind of aligned for us and we were very fortunate we are very fortunate to be able to do this, but there's a but. We worked really hard to get here. Like we planned, we saved, we, invested time in this. It didn't happen overnight. So our journey might not be the same thing that you have in mind for yourself, but if you do have something in mind, you can do it. You can make it happen. Do we want to be sleeping in the van some nights? No, like it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's
y'all have a fight that day. You're still sleeping in that van. Like.
There are sacrifices that we're making along the way, and we are on a budget. But in the grand scheme of things, we're out here living the journey, and we're having a great time doing it. So if you have to figure out a way or get creative to do it, that's what needs to happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So. If you want to do it, make the plan, get off your butt and go do it.
Yeah. Make it work.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time out of your journey across America.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
This
thank you so much.
Amazing #1 podcast in all of Nashville. I don't know if that's true. I just made that up. But it's worldwide, really. I don't really think that's true either. But anyways, thanks for being here. And I appreciate meeting you guys and hearing your story.
Yeah, it was great to meet you too.
Hey, thanks again for listening to the Barbell Voodoo podcast. Hey, if you don't mind on your way out, if you could go by Instagram and follow our page, Barbell Voodoo Podcast. It's brand new. It's part of the Barbell Voodoo family, and we would love for you to go follow us. You can also check me out at fitby40.blog. And otherwise, we'll see you next time.